Hey, Warwick.
Hey, Nick. I'm always so apprehensive at this point of our episode recording.
You should be apprehensive because my jokes are subpar at best, but that's what a good mum joke is like, is it not?
I can't believe you just publicly said that. I feel like I've been let off the hook a little bit with our listeners who have been sending me hate mail about not thinking Nick's jokes are funny.
Not authentically laughing the way that
Not laughing authentically enough.
Well, I've run out of money. I can't keep paying those people to hate on you.
And I never know what your joke's going to be. So let's go, Coxie. This should be an interesting surprise today.
Okay. I don't think I've ever told you. Our listeners know a lot about my dad, but I don't think I've ever told you that he has a DeLorean.
Right. Didn't know that.
No, he only drives it from time to time.
Welcome to the Tradies in Business podcast with your hosts Warwick Bidwell and Nicole Cox. Divert your phone and grab a brew as Waz and Nick unpack tips, tales, secrets and stuff-ups from guests both inside and outside your trade, helping educate and inspire you to break the cycle of gut-busting and money stress and create a true trade business.
Boom tish.
Come on. Topical. I thought you'd be very proud of me for two podcasts in a row finding a topical joke.
Partly at the joke and partly at the attempt to make it relevant to our guests' business.
It's kind of close, right?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Just let me try and recover myself. Aaron Wilton-Jones, welcome to the Tradies in Business podcast, mate.
Hey, thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure, mate. I think it is. Yeah. Now, not surprisingly, you are somewhat in the auto industry, based on Coxie's excellent Back to the Future joke there. Mate, can you tell our listeners a bit about who you are and perhaps your business, and then we'll dig into your background and share some stories?
We'll uncover the dirt. That's too
yes, we're going to scratch below the surface.
Exciting.
Tell us all about you, Aaron.
Yeah, cool. So I run a mobile car detailing business, and I'm based in Wollongong, New South Wales, just south of Sydney, and essentially clean cars for a living.
You will see some funky
you really
stuff
talked
in
that
cars. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Just recently, I have cleaned a car with dog poo, diarrhea, accidents all through it.
Oh, man, I hope you charged a premium for that job.
Yeah, I sure did. Yeah. But still not enough. The smell I can still taste.
Yeah. Half our listeners just started going, all those with soft stomachs.
Stop now. Remember that I don't do well with that noise.
Yep.
And how did you come to be in car detailing? And there's, for our listeners, hang in there. There's a lot more to this story. It's very interesting, actually.
Yeah, for sure. So,
what you do?
So, do you want me to go how far back? Like,
far as you're comfortable.
Start with your mum if you want to, mate.
Yeah. So actually, my mum was pregnant with me and was cleaning cars.
Right. It's literally in the blood. Okay.
Yeah. So, my parents started a car washing business in Australia back in the day, and I grew up around it for about 7 years or so. They ran this business and they franchised out around Australia. And then we moved back to New Zealand, where the rest of our family are based. So I grew up for the rest of my life in New Zealand. And about 18 years old, my dad helped me start a car washing business at a little town centre, where we were basically under a contract with the town centre. So I'd turn up to work 9 to 5, 7 days a week, washing cars. It wasn't really car detailing. It was more or less just pumping through as much volume as possible. And at 18 years old, I got worn out pretty quickly. And I mean, it was a good business. And at 18 years old, I was making some decent cash. But for 2 years, I did that and I was just sick of it. I didn't want to go and clean another car ever again.
I don't like washing my own car, mate.
Yeah. So we actually sold that business and I was about 20 years old and made some decent cash and traveled around the world a little bit, learned a bit about some different cultures. Ended up going back and forth to Indonesia quite a lot because I love surfing. And I started a completely new career in skydiving. So I went for my first skydive at 21 years old, and I was absolutely hooked. And I was like, how do I do this for a living? These guys are having the best fun ever.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I did a course in Auckland, New Zealand, and I stayed there for about 1 year, and I just got my jumps up and yeah, just fell in love with it. And then I moved to Australia because there is far more money over here, especially in the skydiving industry. I moved to Wollongong actually in about 2017. I moved here and got a full-time job as a skydiving instructor. So strapping people to me, jumping out of planes every day. And yeah, it was heaps of fun, but it just was more of a lifestyle sort of job. And the money wasn't exactly consistent, especially because it's dependent on weather. And obviously we need customers in the door. And then COVID-19 hit and the tourism industry just collapsed along with many other industries. A lot of people lost their jobs, including me. And yeah, I was like, well, this isn't really sustainable. I need to do something that is a little bit more secure or control my finances a little bit better. So I realized I knew how to wash cars, and I started a car washing business in the past. So I started a mobile car detailing business. It was about 2020, I think. The pandemic was still happening, lockdowns were still happening, but we were classified as essential workers, or cleaners were classified as essential workers. So I found a little loophole to get out and about and start detailing cars. It didn't really cost much to set up. I already had a van. Equipment's cheap. I'm using the client's power, the client's water. So the chemicals, you buy them in bulk. They don't really cost much at all. And I ended up probably setting everything up, including a website, for less than $1,000.
Wow.
To get the business started, it wasn't like all of a sudden I had clients in the door. Like starting any business is a bit of that time to start generating those consistent clients. So it took a while. It took about 3 months before I was getting maybe like 2 clients a week, 2 or 3 clients a week. So in those initial few months, I was just going around businesses, door knocking, handing out my business cards, just trying to just make it happen, make it work. And it is a bit of a struggle at the start, especially like because I wasn't very techie. I didn't really know how to market the business online. Like, should I be paying for ads here? Like, what should I be using, Google or Facebook? So it took a while, endless nights where I was just researching what strategies are working. And that's when I kind of found SEO and like learned all about optimizing my website, setting up different profiles. And then I started generating some more clients that way because I set up Google business profiles, which is like super essential for a small local business, right? It's like one of the most essential profiles to have set up online. And it just kind of took off after that. I ended up hiring an employee, and we were smashing out cars during the summer. We probably got the business to about 10 grand per month at the 6 month mark. It was averaging maybe $6,000 to $12,000 per month at around the 6 to 7 month mark. So, and it was consistent after that, which I thought was pretty reasonable, I suppose.
Yeah.
But
What's
yeah.
it look like now? So there's a bit of time in between 2020 and now. What does it look like for you now?
Yeah, so what happened in about 2021, it was around February, yeah. I got a phone call from my dad, and he told me he's sick and he needs to go to the doctors and get some tests done. And it was about this 2-week period where I knew my dad was sick, but we didn't really know what was going on. He wasn't getting better. He wasn't responding to antibiotics. And about 2 weeks later, I got another phone call, and he told me that he's been diagnosed with leukemia and needs to get some treatment ASAP because it was severe. So he ended up being diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia, which, if you don't know, is a blood cancer inside of the bone, and it spreads rapidly. Yeah. So yeah, that was a big wake up call. The business was booming at that point, and I pretty much just had to drop all of the tools and fly back to New Zealand where he was to basically be with him and the family. And it's a pretty surreal kind of situation to live through.
Yeah.
To go back and just put everything on hold, your life completely stops, you know. And yeah, so the next 3 months in New Zealand were amazing because I was like, the quality of time that I spent with my family and my dad was just like, you know, I'd never really had that connection before because I guess I don't know, like, this bonding over some sort of adversity just intensifies, I guess. So yeah, we lived through those 3 months, and he got sicker, and he didn't really respond to any of the medication, and he ended up passing away, unfortunately. And yeah, it was devastating. It's pretty hard. So that was about April 2022. So that's been over a year now. But yeah, that was a big wake up call, something that I really had to deal with mentally. Along with the rest of the family. So yeah, pretty tough situation to go through. Anyone that has gone through a loss like that, it will understand, but you can't really explain what it feels like, you know, if you don't experience that.
That's right.
But
it impacts everybody in their own unique way as well, Aaron.
100%. And it's funny you say that because I've grown up a lot, and I've kind of taken control, like, even more so because I don't have that safety net anymore. I kind of realized that, oh wow, like, no one's gonna do this for me anymore. Like, he was always there for me when I needed help with the business. He was the one that came up with the business name, the business logo. He was always quite entrepreneurial, so he helped me out a lot. And then I realized, well, you know, who's going to do this for me now? Like, no one, like, he was always my mentor, my advisor. So that made me grow up a lot, you know. I realized, okay, I'm on this planet on my own in a way now. Like, I need to step up and become the man, kind of thing.
Certainly makes you question your future and what you're doing with business, right? Like, where do I go to from here? How do I take those next steps? What does that look like? That's a confusing time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So
what happened from there, Aaron? Did you stay at home in New Zealand for some time before you then came back to work?
Not really. We kind of packed up, sorted out all of the logistics of everything, and I moved back quite soon. Like, we'd set up a life over here. My fiance Shelby and we have a house and obviously the business. So I wanted to get back as hard as it was to build the business up and, you know, really start doing it in his name almost, kind of thing, so I do feel like I have a purpose, and I do feel like there's a good reason for the work that I do. And yeah, I do enjoy what I do as well. But yeah, like, obviously I came back, I didn't have that employee anymore. And I was kind of not starting again, like, everything was in place. I turned everything on and picked up business quite quickly. But during this time, I realized that I need to start posting videos online. And like, obviously everyone's aware, short form videos are the trend, right? Everyone loves short form videos. Our attention spans are just being depleted. But
True.
so yeah, I listen to a lot of Gary V, and he's all about posting every single day. So I set a bit of a goal for myself to post a video every day for the next year. And I ended up doing that, and people seem to love the videos that I posted. They started out by just being sort of ASMR transformational videos, and it started to take off. And the main reason I started posting these videos was just to get a few more clients in the door and create some brand awareness. But it's kind of turned into something even bigger than that now, which has been quite cool. But it's also generated lots more clients for me as well. So short form video is, especially like TikTok, has been really good because people are using it as a search engine now, So when I want to search up a restaurant close by or in a new city, right, I'll probably look at TikTok and be like, who else has been to this restaurant, and give me a 90-second review on this restaurant. And it's just so convenient. So I guess that's why people are really enjoying some of my videos. I post educational videos around car detailing, and also just like voiceover, transformational day in the life videos. And yeah, people seem to like it and like what I do and like my content. So now I've turned into more of a content creator / car detailer business owner.
It's pretty incredible what social media has allowed us business owners to do in our own ways. I'll out myself. We were talking about it off air. I've been following your videos for some time now. I love having a clean car, and watching you do the transformational stuff is actually really interesting for a couple of reasons for me. Everybody likes a before and after. I think they always work particularly well for any kind of business. But I like to see how you take it from before to after. And I think traditionally we feel like as business owners, we can be tempted to feel like that's quite boring for others because we are seeing and doing it every day. But in fact, the opposite is very true. It provides that transparency that our clients need for them to understand the know, like, and trust. It helps them understand how we get from A to B, builds value in the service that you are providing because they understand the body of work involved with what you need to do to get from before to after. All of that's super important. And yet for me, I just really like watching you see how you clean the car because I think, I could try that next time I clean my own. Because I'm one of those people that mostly clean my own car. I have it detailed once or twice a year, but mostly I do it myself because I actually really like it. It's a fun job for me.
Yeah.
But others in my household do not. They hate cleaning their cars, and so they have theirs detailed more frequently, usually every quarter or so. And it's just amazing the difference that it makes not only to the car and what the car looks like, but the way you feel when you get into the vehicle. So I think all of that is really important to show in that transformation like you do in the short form video.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. I like how you said the transparency. People just love it. Like even when I talk about how much I charge for a vehicle, people just seem to love knowing that information.
Absolutely.
So yeah, transparency just works, eh?
Yeah, it does. It's a great way to educate them before they're at that point of buying so they know what they're getting in for instead of, this is almost part of your sales process is this educational content that you're providing online.
Yeah.
It's very easy for someone to purchase because they know exactly, I've got a filthy ute. I'm a tradie. I haven't done anything about cleaning it for 12 months. It looks like crap, but I'd really like to have it detailed so I can feel better about what I'm doing every day. I can understand through your video content, not only what it's likely to cost, but what it's going to look like after. So I can feel valid in spending that money in the first place.
Yeah, 100%.
Difference.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and you've already built that trust with the client. Like they're not going to ask what the price is or what you do and is included in or involved in the service. Like you've built that trust, so you can charge them a premium amount, deliver an incredible result, and then they're going to tell all their friends about it.
Hey, Tradies in Business, was here. Sorry to interrupt your listening pleasure. I'm joined by Coxie, of course.
Hello.
You may not know this, tradie or tradie wife or whoever you are listening to this program, but we're business coaches. Oh my gosh, that feels weird to say. But we do actually work with people just like you to solve a bunch of problems. And we have this fantastic program called the Tradiepreneur Program, and that's how we do it. And we do it with a wonderful community of trade business owners who are all trying to fix or improve or change things to progress. Things like getting behind on quoting, Coxie.
Feeling overwhelmed, behind on your invoicing, feeling really stressed or frustrated about the money stuff. Sometimes you can pay the bills, sometimes you can't. What about staff? Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh, staff.
Trying to get them to do what you want them to do, if you can even find them in the first place. There's so many struggles.
And we've seen clients tackle these things in their trade businesses in quite a short space of time, to be honest, during the program, and recruit staff at a time where everybody was saying you can't get good staff, improve their quality from their team, collect their debts much more quickly. We have sessions.
Getting tips?
Yes. Getting tips, yes. So people rounding up, customers rounding up the invoice by hundreds of dollars because they're so happy with the sales process and the experience of dealing with the trade business owner and their team. So some amazing stories from our clients. But, you know, as they say in the commercials, don't take it from us. Hear what some of our clients have to say.
Coming into Christmas, we are not worried about money. We've got enough money in the bank to pay everybody's leave. There's work booked in for the new year. And for the first time in a long time, we'll be having 3 weeks off and not worrying about the business. That's probably the biggest win of all.
Using the cash flow forecast, I've been able to look into the future and see where I'm going to be situated financially. And it's actually started to have a huge bearing on whether or not I make purchases.
By far, one of the best things about working with Nick and Woz are the other businesses that are working alongside them. It is amazing how empowering it is to be working alongside like-minded people who have similar goals, similar troubles. We can all relate to each other, and everybody helps everybody out by figuring out problems with you that they may have faced previously. Everybody has solutions and constructive feedback, and it's an incredibly friendly, warm, welcoming environment, not threatening at all.
From every job, I know that I will get a sustainable wage that's industry leading. I can have at least 10 to 20% profit, and I can pay taxes, super, all of that, and I do not have to question whether or not I can because of the way that it's been built, and that is thanks to Traders in Business and what they've taught me and what I've learned.
So there you go. There's some real people. We did not pay them to say those things. And I think that sounds a lot better than Coxie and I reading them out. We really would love for you to check out more about how you could take your trade business to where you would like it to be. Surely you have a vision of what things could be like or what you wish they were like on a day-to-day basis, whether that is reducing stress or actually making more money. Maybe it's spending more time with the family, taking more holidays, having the choice that you really wanted when you started your business instead of this beast that seems to be there for many of you listening to this program. So if you want to find out more about how we do this through the Tradiepreneur program, Coxie's going to tell you all about it.
I'm actually not. I'm going to be really secretive and keep all of our magic up our sleeves. What I would like you to do, though, is head on over to tradiesinbusiness.com.au and you can learn all about us, why we do what we do, and how you can work with us, what that actually looks like. There's a whole bunch of free stuff there for you to download, lots of options. We've always got new stuff going up onto the website and a great place for you to learn a whole bunch more about how you can work with us. You can even book a 15-minute chat.
For free.
For free.
That's how abundant we are. So head over to the website, check it out, book a chat with us, and we'd love to find out if you'd be a great fit for the Tradiepreneur community and start hanging out with some of those people that you just heard from. Aaron, I suspect that some of our listeners have tuned out because we're talking about video and getting themselves on video or what they do on video. And it seems to be a big stumbling block for a lot of people. And I think, you know, platforms like Instagram and TikTok have probably made it worse because they look at influencers, they probably look at guys like you and go, I could never do that. You know, these people are getting thousands of views. You know, I could never make a video does that. I've never done video. I don't know about equipment. I'm not comfortable in front of the camera. All the usual BS stories that people tell themselves. What advice or perhaps insights have you got for tradies who are thinking this is way beyond what I could do? Like, this is not going to work for me.
Yeah. So that's so true. And I was in exactly the same boat. I was so reluctant to even just talk behind the camera and not even show my face and just do a voiceover, videoing what I'm doing, what I'm cleaning. So it took me a while to start doing that. I initially just would film the process and include sounds, the natural sounds of the cleaning, and put those together in like 1 to 2 second clips. And it was easy because no one knew who I was. No one heard my voice. It was literally just the process of me cleaning. And I feel like people like that. If you're a plumber, all you need to do is film yourself fitting in a tap, or, you know, like repairing like some piping underneath the sink, and just post that online in 1 to 2 second clips, or really sped up. And that's all. It's really simple. It's basically just POV of what your eyes can see. And someone's going to find value in that. Someone's going to see that repair job and be like, oh, so that's how they do it. Okay. You know, there's a lot of, So, I mean, and then when I started building up a bit of an audience, I realized, okay, now I could make this a little bit more personal and start talking about it, because I'd already gained some confidence by building up a small audience through just creating and posting these ASMR or just like transformational videos without me on the camera.
Now, just a quick point for some of our listeners who maybe aren't quite so up to date. You know, maybe they're my vintage, or they're not totally across all of the acronyms. Can you just explain ASMR for our audience, mate?
Yeah. So I always get this wrong, but I think it's automated motor sensory. I don't even know. It's something. So ASMR is the sounds and the feeling that it creates when you're doing something. So, you know, when you open a wrapper. You like open a wrapper and you hear that like crunching sound. Yeah, so those are the sounds that people seem to respond to in a like gives them the tingles kind of thing, or it's satisfying. So when you might have seen like cooking videos and there's no music, it's just the raw sounds of people chopping up the meat and like boiling the potatoes. You know, those sounds are what's called ASMR. And there's something that is triggered inside of our brains that finds it really satisfying. And for some reason, everyone loves it.
Okay, there's one brush that you use that I really, really like. It's like the little shaving type brush, you know, the old style. It's got a handle, and use it on when you're cleaning like the emblems on the steering wheel. I love that brush.
Yeah.
Not something that I particularly look for on my social media, and it's not what attracted me to your videos in the first place. It was very much that transformation, but that one brush, I do like it.
Yeah, so the brushes they take a good hit. So it's like the scrubbing, I suppose, the scrubbing noise, and then the foaming.
Yes.
So it creates a bit of like sudsy foam and scrubbing, and
Aaron, do you have to have any kind of fancy equipment to do what you're doing with your videos, or are you just using your iPhone or whatever?
Just on my smartphone. Yep. No fancy equipment at all. I've tried using my DSLR camera and it's just annoying. GoPro just doesn't film as well, so I just always revert back to my smartphone. It's just like a couple years old Samsung Galaxy.
Yep.
That films in 1080. So
this is why I like it. You're using a Samsung, not a shitty iPhone.
No, whatever. That's because iPhone's camera's too good. People will realize that it's professionally produced. So, but it does dispel the myth that you've got to have gear and you've got to know how to use video equipment. everyone's got a production house in their pocket these days, whether you're an iPhone user or a weirdo Android or Samsung user.
Steady on.
Yeah. Everyone's got the gear in their pocket.
Yeah.
And everyone's got a laptop or a computer that is capable of processing all this stuff these days. Video years ago, you needed massive computing power and chip speed and hard drives to store the files. And it's just not like that anymore, is it?
Yeah, no, not at all. There's an app called CapCut. It's a free app, and it's basically powerful editing software on your phone, super easy to use, and like anyone can use it. Yep. So highly recommend CapCut. InShot is another one. These are all just on your phone. You don't even need a laptop to edit your videos. Yeah. Something that's really worked for me whenever editing videos, it's like the kind of a formula that I go by, and it's just like 1 to 2 second clips, or the whole video is sped up.
Yeah.
That whole time.
And that holds engagement.
Yeah. Yep. So Aaron, how has this changed your business? How has getting into the video and the content production changed your business? So I just consistently have clients organically. I don't pay for ads at all. So that really helps because there's just not many expenses going out. Also, I have grown a bit of a following, and I also sell affiliate links now. So I sell product. People are interested in my products. Like you said before, Coxie, I want to know what products you get. So you can actually click into my link in my bio, and I have a little PDF download where you can have a look at all the products that I use, and also the links to buy them through Amazon. And then I make a small commission from that. So there's like some money coming in there online now. And so I also have built an online course now as well, where I teach other people how to start car detailing businesses. It was a big question that I would always get, like, how do I start? How do I get into this industry? I figured, well, it was actually quite easy for me to start this type of business. So I realized, well, how about I teach other people how to start this type of business as well? So now I do have, a course there where I can help others and get them to this point.
Very clever.
Aaron, I want to just back up through your history and your bio just for a second, because I did actually read your story, which I'm going to sound like a bit of a dick here, but I don't usually read our guests' bios. And Nick and I have a bit of a philosophy, I guess, and I broke the rule without sharing it with Coxie, but we like our interviews to be natural and not kind of stilted, and deliberately asking questions that are seeded because of someone's backstory. But I was drawn to read yours. I don't know why. And I'm glad I did, because you spent a very short period of time in a different trade when you were younger. I mean, you're young now, mate, but when you were even younger, and you had a crazy accident. And I think it's kind of relevant to what we're talking about here with video, and you being on video. Tell our listeners a bit about the accident and what that's meant for you for the rest of your life.
For sure. Yep. Good point. So when I was 17 years old, I started a trade as an aluminium joinerer, and it ended pretty quickly on day 2 with a chisel stuck in my eye. So I was taking out a window, the rubber seal around a window, and I was using a chisel trying to jar the seal out, and slipped and poked the chisel straight into my left eye. And I ended up getting rushed to hospital. I ended up getting 21 stitches on my eyeball. And 3 months later, I ended up getting my eye removed because it was a possibility of causing infection to my right eye, to my good eye. I had the option to keep it, but the likelihood of infection was too high. So we decided to remove it. But before that, it was quite cool. I had one blue eye and one brown eye. So it was quite trippy for a few months there. So got that removed, and now I've got a fake eye. Please don't ask me to remove it.
Don't worry, we're not. Coxie has a very strong gag reflex, so if I make the sound, I can set it off, mate. So I think popping your prosthetic eye out is not going to go well here on the podcast.
Yeah.
Nobody needs to hear that.
Yeah.
That's one of those ASMR sounds.
Aaron, that's a huge thing to go through as a 17-year-old when, 17-year-olds are generally quite, I can't think of a better way to say it, but self-absorbed. Our appearance is extremely important to
100%.
us. We're worried about being judged. There's a lot of fear there in our appearance and changing. What was that like for you? I can imagine it must have been really challenging and quite scary to think that maybe you would change.
Yeah, for sure. It was quite a change. For about 6 months there, I didn't really do too much. I was kind of adapting to the sight in one eye, and didn't really go out at all. I was kind of like a bit anxious. I did have a good bunch of friends at the time, which I think helped. But yeah, it was something I had to really like go deep inside and try and figure out this is my life now. Like, how am I going to be a normal person? Like, I'm going to have like one saggy eye for the rest of my life, So it was kind of hard to deal with, but I think, it only took about a year or so. I think my personality is the type of personality to accept what is in front of me as it is and move on from that as a challenge in a way. So yeah, it was a setback in a way, but I think probably a blessing in disguise because I'm not an aluminium joiner now.
Yeah.
And you went on from that to the skydiving thing. If we go back through the story that you shared.
Yeah.
Skydiving instructor, like you're on videos. It's insane.
It hasn't really stopped me. If anything, I've just gone harder. Surfing around the world. I've base jumped around the world. Over in Europe, jumped off massive cliffs, skydiving around the world. So yeah, my life has been filled with interesting adventures, and having one eye definitely didn't stop me.
And the things that depth perception is relatively key to a lot of those activities, and you lose a large portion of that when you lose the sight in one eye.
Yeah, for sure. It's quite amazing how the body does just adapt. So I think I've just adapted quite well. The depth perception at nighttime, walking upstairs, I'll trip every now and then. But other than that, in perfect lighting, my depth perception is exactly the same. It's anything beyond like a meter is the same anyway, because our eyes, they go to a point that anyway. So it's anything in front of a meter, I could have struggles with, but the brain calculates it so well anyway. I know that the microphone is there, because the brain is just calculating that. So I don't know, that it's amazing how the body just adapts. But yeah,
it's amazing. And I'm glad I brought that up because I think it's an amazing story, mate. And I wanted to make the point for our listeners who are worried about their appearance and stuff on video. It's like, I don't want to get on the video, I don't look a certain way or whatever might be going on for us, our own personal fears. And, it probably seems a little bit, I don't know, gratuitous or trite that I share this, but, you're a guy who's worked through that and, you've got a prosthetic eye and you're doing this and it hasn't made a lick of difference. If anything, it's probably, inspired you to do it even more.
Yeah. Like we're all going to have those like limiting beliefs and I still get them all the time. I get a bit worried, maybe he's looking at me funny because my eyes cross-eyed right now, or so I still get these thoughts, but you just have to be confident, have your shoulders back and just get on with life, because it's not going to change. Like at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what other people think.
I think this is one of the questions I was going to ask you, Aaron, was about whether you had been trolled or you had been, the negative comments and stuff. Because the more you put yourself out on social media, the more likely it is to happen at least once.
Yeah.
People always feel the need to point out the obvious as it
all the time. Yeah, all the time it happens. They get negative comments all the time. In a way, I just feel sorry for them because they've got something going on in their life that they're not happy with. I've actually, one guy, he was personally messaging me and he was quite annoyed at me for just like unrelated things that were just untrue. I ended up just messaging him back being like really empathetic, and he ended up telling me how he's going through a really hard time right now and he's suicidal and all this, and ended up forming a bit of a relationship with him based on that. So you just never really know what these other people are going through. People can be cruel online, but more or less they've got some issues going on in their life that are just not on the surface.
Yep.
That's right. It's usually a front to, to take attention away from how they're really feeling about themselves or what's really going on. And they use that attacking stance online to really, I guess, as a distraction or a smokescreen, I think, in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
And I suspect, Coxie, you might be referring to your gap in your front teeth, by any chance?
The one I see in the mirror every morning, people feel the need to.
It's not like you don't know about it. It's like, Aaron, it's not like you don't know you've got a prosthetic eye.
Exactly.
For the record, I don't have a clue, Aaron. You cannot tell at all.
It's a good job. Yeah, it's definitely a good job. I've lost a few of them though. One for skydiving.
Yeah, in someone's beard.
Yeah, I've taken it out as a party trick before when I've had a few too many beers,
I must have a warped sense of humor because I'm seeing like a whole series with your car detailing. It's like you can get your eye into those places where you can never reach, where you can't get the steering wheel and stuff.
Or I have an eye for detail.
Oh yes, mate. Okay, that's gold. Coxie, you're out of a job.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. Aaron's doing our intro jokes from now on.
I think that's incredible, especially for a young fella, Aaron. You are younger than we are, but I see kids. There's a lot of anxiety out there in the world, and to me, you're a kid, so I'm going to refer to you as a kid, even though I'm sure you're not. But what I feel is a lot of that anxiety for our younger tradespeople, our younger business owners, or those even just sort of stepping into that field, a lot of that fear holds them back. And here you are today. Not only have you pushed through some pretty serious stuff in your short life, you actively go to find the fear, which I think is probably part of that mindset, that ability to be able to step through some of those big things that you have been through. As a mum, I'm listening to you thinking, oh my God, that must be terrifying. However, I think it's important to be actively seeking to push yourself outside of your comfort zone so that you can overcome the fear that stops you from creating those short videos or talking through what you're doing in a job if you're a plumber or a sparky or any of the trades, because it does provide, just to bring us right back, that opportunity to assert yourself as the authority in your space, which is a real key for people to want to utilize your services without questioning that cost of what your services might be. So it makes you almost impossible to compare to other people in the market because you've set about that tone of authority already. So I think it's a great point to talk to how you're able to actively push through that fear. Is there anything though, Aaron, in doing what you're doing with social media that does trip you up from time to time and you really actively have to push through some of those barriers to provide or create what you are creating?
Yeah, for sure. Like I feel like I'm not a very good communicator. I say and quite a lot, especially when I'm just like trying to think of stuff on the spot. Yeah. So I want to start creating YouTube videos, and I look at like some of the other competitors in the space and I'm like, well, I just can't talk like they can talk. I can't explain things like they can. And that kind of puts me down, and I'm like, how do I get around this? So I'm going to attend a workshop and at the end of the month to increase my communicating skills. I'm going to put myself out there like I did, reaching out to you guys to get on podcasts, to just try and become a better communicator in front of the camera. And that's just how it is, like you have to put in the work to overcome those fears or those limiting beliefs. At the end of the day, you can get over it. And yeah, that's how I kind of have my thoughts about it anyway.
I love that. It's such an unrecognized skill that a lot of our listeners have as trade business owners. Is many of them have been in their trade for years, and like you with car detailing, you've learned things along the way. You've put in the hours, you've done the jobs, and you've learned all that stuff. And to get good at business, if we talk about tradies in business, to get good at business, there's a certain skill set that you can develop, whether that's presenting on camera. For Nick and I, it's recording podcasts. You know, we're coming up to almost 600 episodes. We've recorded a lot of content over 10 years, and you develop a skill set. I also get very good at creating the same bad habits over that time as well. But our tradies have learned how to do new things. You know, the industries are changing all the time. There's different practices in plumbing. There's different tools that get used in glazing and, you know, pool building, all that sort of stuff. So you listening to this, you have skills that you've built, and you can apply that same learning capacity to something like creating videos or public speaking or reading a cash flow forecast. And so I love that point that you make, Aaron, that it's you're going to go and sign up and do a course on how to communicate better. I should probably do the same course with you. But because I say and but I hear myself do that stuff. So there you go. I just did it again. Listeners are going to be annoyed now. And I just want to really, really drive home that point that you listening to this, gang, can learn how to do this stuff. It is not some mystical talent that you're either born with or you're not, or you're just magically bestowed with it. It's a load of crap. You can actually learn it.
100%. And just investing in yourself, I feel, has been like one of the biggest things for me. Having mentors and signing up for this course, you know, been reading and just like learning that's just been a big help for the success of my business.
Love it. Aaron, I have a question I have been asking our guests mostly for the last 10 years, and that is, if you had 1,000 tradies in a room, what is one piece of advice you would love to leave them with, mate?
One piece of advice for 1,000 tradies. I'd probably have to say start posting more videos on TikTok.
Love it.
Nice.
I'd be disappointed if you said anything else, Aaron.
Don't play with chisels.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, wear safety glasses at least.
Yeah.
We'll have to get them as a guest on one of our podcasts. Mate, it's been great chatting with you. I'm glad you pitched this. You've done super well. I'm gonna out you with something else as well, Aaron. This is your first podcast interview, is that right?
This is my first podcast interview. And my fiance would tell you how nervous I was before jumping on. Heart is beating out my chest. So you guys made me feel comfortable, and I've really enjoyed it.
Nice, man. I think you've aced it, Aaron, and I love your story, mate. I love what you're doing. Keen to see how you progress with your TikTok videos. And maybe there's a new business in there, you know, Eye for Detail, car detailing or something. It's national franchise coming up, mate.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for coming on the show, mate.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for having me, guys. And look forward to talking again soon.
Thanks, Aaron.
You've been listening to the Tradies in Business podcast with Warwick Bidwell and Nicole Cox. Find out more about today's guest, tools for your trade business, and other cool stuff at tradiesinbusiness.com.au.